In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to make a Roblox game fast. We're going to be creating an obstacle style game, which you can create with Roblox Studio, publish for free, and play with your friends. Let's get started. Welcome to my channel, my name's AlvinBlox, and I'm all about helping you learn to make awesome games and earn Robux on Roblox. So make sure to subscribe if you're interested, as I have lots more videos like this, where today we're going to be learning how to create an obstacle course in under 20 minutes. So let's get started. So first thing that you're going to need to do is install Roblox Studio. Now to do that, there will be a link in the description. You need to go to roblox.com/create. Once you're there, click on the Start Creating button, and that's going to check if you have Roblox Studio installed. Now, if you do, it should automatically start, but if not, it will walk you through the process of getting it installed. Now, once you have Roblox Studio opened, we're going to select the base plate template. This is all we're going to need to create our obstacle course from scratch. Now, I'm going to give you a quick overview of Roblox Studio and how you can use it. So, Roblox Studio is a powerful tool which you use to create Roblox games. Every game on the platform uses it, and it's got loads of features which allow you to build and code. So, we're going to need to open up a few panels, and I'm going to give you a quick guide of them before we start. These panels are going to be the Explorer window, which is over here, the Properties window, and the Toolbox. Now, if you don't see any of these windows, to open up the toolbox, click on Home, and then you will see the button here to open it and close it. And also the same goes for the Explorer window and the Properties window. You can open and close them by going to the View tab and then clicking on Explorer and Properties. So what do we use these for? So the Explorer is used to show everything that's in your game world. So if we open up the workspace here, you can see we have a base plate. And we can use the Properties tab down here to change what it looks like and how it acts when the game is running. So for example, its colour. The toolbox over here is used to insert models created by other people. So for example, we could drag in a tree like this, and there's loads of different models which you can use when creating your own game. But today we're going to be creating our obstacle course completely from scratch with parts. We're going to be using the part tool and the 4 main tools to edit a part: select, move, scale, and rotate. So let's get started with our obstacle course. I'm going to select this base plate in the game here. Now when I select it, I'm going to set the colour back to grey like this for now. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down to where it says size, and I'm going to set it to 20 studs by 2 studs by 20 studs. This just means that the size of the base plate will be 20 studs. You see 1 stud here, 20 on this axis, 20 on this axis, but it's only going to be 2 studs high like this. So this is going to be our spawn area where our players are going to get teleported to when they join or if they reset. So I'm going to change this now to be sea green. Okay, you can colour it whatever you want, and I'm also going to click on surface down here in the properties window, and I'm going to set top surface to smooth. Once you've done that, I'm going to give it a name. Just going to call it base instead of base plate, and I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to right click and duplicate. This is going to create a clone of the part. So now we can just drag it, and you can see we have 2, one on top of the other. Now I'm going to resize this part by using the scale tool. So click scale and then drag the red circle to make it 2 studs. Then I'm going to use the move tool to drag it away and create a border on the outside of this base part. Then I can change the brick color to black. Now all I have to do is duplicate again by pressing Ctrl D or Command D, and then just move it along to the other side like this. We can do the same thing again, duplicate it, and this time we're going to need to rotate it for this side of the part. So you can either use the rotate tool like this, or you can press Ctrl R, and that will rotate it 90 degrees. Now we can move it to the side of the base and drag it down, and we're just going to resize it so that now we start to see this black border on the side of our part. So let's duplicate it again by pressing Ctrl D or Command D, and we're going to use the move tool to move it over to the other side, just like that. There we go. We've created our spawn area. Let's select these parts here, these border parts. You can't select them in the game, you have to select them in the Explorer. That's because they're locked. So you don't have to have them locked. I'm going to turn locked off for now. And you can see now that we've unchecked the locked property, we can select them. So select the borders and the base and make sure that anchored is set to true. Anchored basically means whether the part is going to stay in the air or whether it's going to fall to the ground. Now we want this to be stuck in a fixed position, so we're going to keep anchored set to true. Now that we've done that, we're going to need to create a spawn part, which is where our player is going to be teleported to when they join the game. So click on the model tab and click on spawn. Let's drag it down onto our base, and I'm going to use the scale tool to make it a little bit smaller. I'm going to click on the green circle, I'm going to hold down shift, and this will just make sure that when we resize it, it keeps the ratio for each axis. But I'm going to click on model first, and where it says move, I'm just going to turn this off. Okay, this allows us to have no snapping. We can move it with no increment, so we can move it wherever you want. And now I hold down shift and I scale down the spawn part. And now we can just drag it on to our spawn area. And I'm going to delete this decal, this image on top of the spawn, just by clicking on top. I'm going to click on delete. There we go. We've just created our spawn area. Now let's create our first obstacle, some rainbow jumps. Let's insert a part. I'm going to turn snap to grid back on, and I'm going to set it to 1 stud. And with this part, I'm just going to drag it so that it goes against this black border. I'm going to scale it down so it's the same depth, and I'm going to scale it across like this. Next, I'm just going to move it away from the border. I'm going to make sure that it's anchored so that it doesn't fall out of the sky. And we're going to use the scale tool to make it a little bit bigger, like that. Okay, I'm going to give it a color. Let's do red for now. And then I'm going to select it, and I'm going to duplicate again. I'm going to right click and press duplicate or Control D. And I'm going to move it across with the move tool. Now if you want to quickly access these tools, select move, scale and rotate. You can press down Control or Command if you're on a Mac, and press either 1, 2, 3 or 4 for each tool. 3 is for scale, 2 is for move, 1 is for select, and 4 is for rotation. So I'm going to move this part along, and I'm going to duplicate again and just keep making these jumps which go higher and higher, a bit like a staircase. Now once you've got enough, you can stop, but I'm just going to take 3 more and duplicate them all at once by selecting them. And also I'm just going to make sure they all look good like that. Okay, so now I've got my jumps, we can start colouring them differently. So I'm going to use this colour tool up here. We're going to click on this arrow, and we're going to make sure that colour action as tool is selected. That allows us to paint loads of bricks at once. So select a colour, and then make sure that you selected the colour tool. And then you'll see this paint bucket. This allows us to quickly select a colour, so I'm going to select green, light blue, dark blue, and we'll have a pink, and we'll finish off with a purple, just like this. So there we go. We have just created our own rainbow jumps. So we're going to select all of these parts by dragging, holding down the left mouse button and dragging so that they're selected. And we're going to Control and G or Command G, or alternatively right click and click on group. This is going to put them all in a model so that we can move them all around at once and that we can organize all of our parts in the game. I'm going to give this model a name of jumps. There we go. Next, what we're going to need to do is clone this spawn area and turn it into a checkpoint, which we can put over here. But first, let's group together all of the parts which are in our spawn as well. So we're going to select them, we're going to then group them, and I'm going to call this checkpoint. So now we've got 2 models, one for our spawn area and one for our rainbow jumps. I'm going to go and clone this checkpoint. I'm going to duplicate it. So right click, duplicate. And there we go. We have now got another spawn point or checkpoint. Now because we don't want our players to spawn at the second level, we want them to spawn back at the start, we're going to remove this spawn point for now. We only want the spawn points to be at the start. In a future video, we will add checkpoints so that you don't have to go back to the start every time that you die. But now that we've got our second checkpoint in here, what we can do is create our second obstacle. Let's create some lava jumps. So lava jumps are bricks which the player will have to jump over, and if they touch a lava brick, they will die and go back to the start. So I'm going to select the white color and I'm going to click on parts. This is going to insert another part for us, and we can just drag it over here so that it's touching the checkpoint. Now because you're going to have to jump over the lava jumps, we're going to want to have a base. So this is going to be our base where we're going to put the lava jumps on top of. I'm using the scale tool to make it a little bit bigger, and so that there's enough room for us to put all of our jumps on. So let's make sure that it's anchored and it doesn't fall out of the sky, and we're going to change the name to base. Now we just need to insert another part, and this will be our lava jump. So make sure it scales the entirety of the base and that it's high enough so that people have a challenge when jumping over it. Going to make it a little bit shorter like that. There we go. And we're going to move it along here. But because it's lava, we want it to be shiny and red. So let's change the brick color property to a nice red color. And we're going to change the material to neon. This will make it stand out and it looks as if it's lit up. So now that we've got our lava brick, we need to make it kill the player. Make sure it's anchored so it doesn't fall out of the sky or it doesn't start moving around if someone touches it. And let's name it lava. So how do we make it kill the player? Well, we need to do scripting. Scripting allows you to bring your parts to life. It allows things to happen when you don't have to control them. It allows you to tell the game what to do and it will do it for you. So make sure that you right click, hover over Insert Object and click Script. Once you've got your script in the game, we can start by writing some simple code. Now, we're going to need to do a touched event, which detects when someone touches the brick. So we can say script.parent, which is the part, the lava brick, because the script parent is this lava here. .touched, that's the name of the event, which we're waiting to see if something touches it. :connect, and then we say function, and then we're going to do a pair of parentheses and drop a line like this. And Roblox should add this end with a closing bracket on it. Now inside of this bracket we're going to add a parameter. Now a parameter is some data that gets passed to this script whenever something happens. So for example, when someone touches this brick, the script will know what hit the part, okay? And so in this case we're calling it hit. So we need to check to see if hit is an actual player. So say if hit.parent, find first child, humanoid, then we know that it is a player that touched it and it's not anything else, like a brick might have touched it. We don't want that to kill itself, we only want to kill a player. So we can say hit.parent, break joints. And what break joints does is it basically, any joints in the player, such as like back joints or neck joints, will be broken and the player will fall apart. So they'll basically die and they will have to be respawned. So we're checking if something touches the brick, and hit is whatever touched it. And if that hit is a player, if it has a humanoid object in it, which only players have, then we're going to break its joints and it's going to die. So let's go and test this out. Let's go and click on this arrow where it says play and click on play here so that we spawn on this checkpoint. And if we touch the lava brick, you can see our joints break and all of our body parts, they fall apart. So we die and we get respawned back to the start. So now what we can do is keep pressing Ctrl D to duplicate them, and we can just add a couple onto this base like this. Next, we're going to take our checkpoint model again, we're going to duplicate it, and we're going to move it over here. And now we can create our next obstacle, which is going to be a choose path. Now you might not have heard of these before. There are 3 paths and you have to choose the correct one. 2 of them, basically if you walk on them, you're going to fall straight through them and fall to your death, but one of them is going to be the correct path. So you're going to need to choose wisely. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this base again, which we have, and we're going to just duplicate it. Let's move it over here and just position it down so it's touching the checkpoint. And now we're just going to make it a little bit shorter because we're going to have our choose path. So we're going to insert 3 more bricks, 3 bricks for each path. So this is going to be our first path. Let's just make it wide enough like this. We're going to need to make it small enough so that the base can fit 3 parts. We're going to duplicate and we're going to move it across and duplicate again and move this one down like that. So we now have 3 paths. Now we're going to give each path a different color. So this path could be yellow, this path can be purple, and this one can be blue. So we now need to select which path is going to be the correct one. So we're going to have 2 of them, which the player will fall straight through, and one which will work. So I'm going to select these 2 paths on each side, and these are going to be the paths that don't work. So we're going to go to this can collide property, and we're going to make it unchecked. When can collide is unchecked, it means that nothing will collide with the brick. It will just fall straight through it. So the player is going to fall straight through the purple one and the yellow one. Now we're going to actually keep can collide set to true on the blue one, but we're going to select all of our paths and make sure that anchored is set to true so they don't fall out of the sky. Now let's clone our base again, and we'll clone the checkpoint. But whilst we're just here, let's take our current obstacles that we have. So we'll select the base and the 3 choose paths, and we will group these together, and we'll call this model choose path, just so that everything's organized. And each path, I will call that path instead of part, like that. And let's just go back to our lava jumps here and click and drag to select all of our lava bricks and the base. Okay, so now we can just Control G to group them, and I'm going to call this lava jumps. Okay, so now we have grouped everything together. It looks really nice and organized. Let's create our final obstacle. This is going to be some ball jumps. So a bit like the rainbow jumps, but the player would have to jump on some balls. So let's insert a part, but we're going to click on the arrow and click on sphere. Then we're going to hold down shift again and click on the green circle on the scale tool and just scale them up. And we will just position them in the middle here. And what we can do is we can duplicate. Now, instead of having the bricks duplicate on top of each other, you can click on collisions over here, and that will mean that they don't collide with each other, so they're going to be duplicated in the same place. So we can just drag them apart like this. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll do one more. And what I'll also do is just take a couple of them and move them from side to side, so it's a little bit more challenging. And then we can go back to the model tab and use the color action as tool over here. So we can do one as red, one as green, blue, a pink one, an orange one. So there we go, that's our final obstacle complete. Let's make sure that they're all anchored, and we're going to just group them together, and we're going to call them balls. Now I'm just going to make sure each part is also called ball, so we know what they all are. And there we go, we've finished our obstacle course. Now let's just add our final winners section. We're going to duplicate one of the checkpoints, and let's move it along again, like this. But because it's the winner zone, we're going to make it a little bit bigger. So we're going to use what we've learned. We're going to hold down shift, and then we're going to use the scale tool on the yellow circle to make it a little bit bigger, like this. Then I'm just going to make sure that it's able to be jumped on from the final block. And there we go, we have completed our obstacle course in under 20 minutes. Now I'm going to show you how to publish your game to Roblox so that you can play it with your friends. So you're going to want to click on File, then click on Publish to Roblox As, and then it will load up your places. Click on Create New, and we're going to call it My Obby, or you can call it whatever you want. Make sure that you select Public on Privacy, and also you can take a snapshot for a thumbnail. Click on OK. It's going to take a snapshot, and also you can change some details here about your game. The maximum amount of players that you can have, I will set that to 40, but it's up to you, whether you want the IP servers enabled, or whether you want to sell your game. But we're going to just keep this at default right now. I'm going to click on Create Place. Once you've done that, it's going to create the game for you. It's going to upload your place, and when you click on Next, you'll be taken to this link. So take this link, right-click, copy it, and click on Done. Then head to your web browser, and just paste the link right in there. And it's going to take you to your game. Alternatively, you could go to Create and you'll see it there. But we can click on Play, and we will be able to play our own Roblox game. So here we go, waiting for a server, joining, and there we go. This is what we've just created in Roblox Studio in our own game. Look, we can chat, we can e-dance, we can do everything. So let's try it out and make sure it works and that there's no bugs or anything. If you can't complete your obstacle course, so you might need to go back and fix it so that it's easier for the players. So I'm going to go back over here, and I'm just going to move this a little bit closer to the green one like that. There we go. So we can republish again by going to File and Publish to Roblox this time. We already have it published, so we don't need to publish it to another game. We're just updating it, and we can head back in. I've just added some fixes. I've made the some of the obstacles a little bit closer together so that we won't be able to fall off them. We don't want them to be impossible, because if they were, then our players wouldn't like that and they would start downvoting our game. We don't want to get thumbs down, so you want to make sure that you keep testing your game before you launch it and testing out new updates so that you know that everything works perfectly, because that way you can have a great game that people love. Alright, so onto the balls again. Let's see if we can do them this time. Onto the green one, and there we go. Onto the blue one, onto the pink one, and the final one, the orange one. There we go. Boom, boom, boom. We have completed our own obstacle course. So there we go, we're in the winner section now. Think of some things that you might want to add to the winner section. You could add, for example, a little sign which says congratulations, or you could add some things from the toolbox as well if you wish. So there's lots to experiment with your first Roblox game. But there you go, in 20 minutes you've just learned how to create your own Roblox game from scratch. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and don't forget to subscribe, as I have loads more videos teaching you how to make a game. I have more advanced series on how to make a sword fighting game, how to make a simulator, and there's more videos coming soon. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you click the notification bell, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.